Welcome to another edition of Discover Tinley, where we highlight the people and organizations in town that make Tinley Park a pretty great place in which to live. And as we all know, Tinley Park is a pretty great place in which to live. My name is Ron Centeni. I'm your host tonight, and on behalf of the Community Resources Commission members, who are volunteers helping to put this on, along with our high school adult volunteers, all volunteer work putting on the show every month for you. We're happy to do that. Big thing coming up is Discover Tinley, so make sure you put on your calendars April 6th over at the Convention Center, 10 o'clock in the morning. We have a very good show this year. We got a special guest coming too, Sven Gooley. Some of you may know who Sven Gooley is, some of you may not know, but he's a pretty special guest we've got coming to Discover Tinley this year. So come on out to Discover Tinley on April 6th. Today's show, we're going to begin with showing a little bit behind the scenes view of what it takes to put on this show every month. We got some of our people involved with it, some of our equipment, and show you what it takes to put on the show. And then we'll show you what it's like. And then we're going to have our first guest. Well, we're in the studio here, and I thought we'd give you, give you a little background idea of what it looks like from the inside looking out and what we see when we're doing the show from the worker's point of view. I'm usually sitting in this chair, and as you can see, the background is the same, but as we move around here, you're going to see what I usually see out here, looking at the set here. And our first position is the floor director, very important floor director. John, introduce yourself and tell us what do you do as floor director?
Sure. I'm John Stone. As a floor director, you're basically the main communicator in this whole area. You receive direction from the director and you kind of communicate that to the host and the guest. So you want the host to make sure they don't have their cell phone on. You want to make sure that they understand kind of the whole process that's going to be going on. And you also give time cards to Ron, the host.
Countdown. We're counting down to the last minute, actually the last 30 seconds.
Yes.
And then I look at the nice big clock down there to see what the ending position is and see how we have to end on time, because the show has got some pretty strict timing. And John's one of our adult volunteers. How long have you been with us?
Probably 3 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for helping out. Let's look around to the heart of the matter, the cameras. These are the cameras people out there, and we have one of our regular camera people. Jeannie, I'd like to introduce your name. What's your name? And tell us what you do behind the camera there.
Sure. My name is Jean Dome. I've been with the studio here for 3 years. First off, you get in and you want to make sure the cameras are set up. Sometimes you've come in and you actually have to put the tripod together and set the camera up. Main thing is that it's stable and steady when you're ready to shoot. I wear a headset because this room is soundproof and I got to listen for what the director is telling me to shoot. My job is to give him as many good angles. I can do a one shot on the guest, or zoom out to do a two shot. But basically I try to give him as much variety in the shot so that when we go to edit, we have a lot to play with. So some of these buttons, it's automatic focus. I mean, this camera's pretty state-of-the-art. The main thing I have to do is hit the record button and zoom in and zoom out. That's basically the job of the camera person.
Very good. A very important job, obviously. We usually have two cameras going. And then, as Jeannie said, they take different shots. All right, we're in the inner workings there, and our first station is the director, who kind of designates what kind of shots go on the cameras here. And our director today is Garrett Gray, who is one of our commissioners. So, Garrett, introduce yourself, and what do you do at the director station?
Well, thank you, Ron. As you mentioned, I'm one of the commissioners, but what I do at the director station when we're directing the show is it's like a five-pronged process. The first one has nothing to do with this control board. It's the setup. Before we actually film this, we have to get all the technical cords for the microphones set up and keyed into this board correctly. And once we have that and the backdrop, the proper backdrop for Discover Tinley versus the backdrop for the chamber show, Then we can go on to our next step, which is the sound check. So that's step number 2, is we do sound checks on the guests. We need this panel board here. For example, when Ron is talking one-on-one with a guest, we'll have a microphone number 1 on the guest and number 3 on Ron, and we pump up the volume, so to speak. And we also have a master volume, because if Ron's being the most interesting host you've heard and having the best conversation, if we don't get that recorded on the mics, you can't hear it, and neither can we. So we got to make sure that the microphones are keyed in correctly and at the right volume. So we do the sound checks, and many a times we'll have some guests that are new to the studio, and we have to ask them to use their best outdoor voice and speak into the mic, and that usually works pretty good. Nobody has too many problems, there's not too many hiccups, and then we keep on rolling. Now step number 3 is, once we have the sound, we have to make sure the look is good. And so usually we'll frame in both screens, camera 1 and camera 2, and I'll communicate using this headset with my camera people to make sure that we have a far away shot. We call that a 2 shot if there's 2 guests. It's a 3 shot if we have 3 guests. And then of course we'll have a 1 shot that's either on our host Ron or the guest. And one of the rules of thumb is, first off, we don't want any glaring lights, because it's pretty bright in that studio there. So we'll take makeup to their face and powder their face a little bit if needed. But once the look is right, in the middle of filming, if somebody's talking, we absolutely want to have a camera shot on the person speaking. You never want to have, as a rule of thumb, somebody's voice not matching the picture. So if there's a voice and somebody's speaking, we always want to make sure on either camera 1 or camera 2, we have captured them saying that audio. With that, then we go to the actual, well, that's number 4, which was the screens. We make sure that we follow the people when they're speaking on the screens. And in real time, we ask our camera people to do some pans. And so usually when we're doing a pan, I make sure I have a backup shot, so that if the pan doesn't go quite the way we want, sometimes we'll have mechanical issues, we still have that backup shot so that we have something usable when we get to the editing portion of the program. And then last but not least, and I'm remiss to not have my timer here, but we have typically a timer here to make sure, like sometimes Ron has these really interesting guests on the show, and we can actually make 3 or 4 shows with them. However, we're only limited to about 15 minutes, so we want to make sure that we keep the guest on time, and we let Ron know what time it is. So, for example, if there was a timer here and it was showing 1 minute left, I'd communicate to our floor director, 1 minute, 1 minute, and he or she would communicate to Ron with the cards, as you saw John do earlier in the program. And so Ron can control the time, and that way he can end the show on time. And so those are basically the 5 steps for the directing. We use the control board. We use the microphones to communicate in real time to our cameramen, our floor director, so that they can communicate to Ron, so that the show is on time and top notch as always.
Wow. And the position can change. You're not always here every week.
No.
We have a variety, a jack of all trades here, of all the people helping us out, so we appreciate all the help you guys are giving us. So enjoy the director's chair for tonight.
Okay. Thanks, Ron.
All right, we're going to move over to our next station here. What do we call this station? This is the editing station, isn't it? And let's see our 2 people who are now, again, as we said, they're a floor director, and our camera person is now at the other desk here, editing. What do you do here at this desk, and how do you accomplish all this?
Well, this is where we're editing. We're using Adobe, and we take the clips that we've recorded and we import them into our timeline here, and then we go ahead and, I guess in simplest terms, we just insert them into the timeline, and then we're able to go ahead and cut down the show, basically.
Wow. What do you mean cut down the show?
Well, we have 2 different cameras, so we have 2 angles that we can use, so we can kind of look and see what's the best appropriate angle for each moment of the show, and we can switch between both. And
so you're basically the ones that choose what shots go on the final editing which because we're using 2 cameras, obviously we don't have 2 shots, so
Yep.
you guys are choosing which shots go on. Jeannie, what are you doing some of the stuff too then, aren't you?
Yes, some of the things you do first is we have to add our intro, so we drop that in. We add Comcast logo. We do dissolves between the different hosts, the different guests. Then we add credits at the end. And we synchronize all that together with the audio.
And how often do you come here to do it? How long does it take to do this kind of editing?
We come every Monday for about an hour and a half. It really takes a good 2 to 3 weeks to get a show up and running.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it isn't one night shot. You
Right.
guys are spending a lot of time here.
We film on Wednesdays and then we work on the Mondays following.
Now we're going to one of our other commissioners, Don Budney here at his regular station here, obviously in the Air Force. We've got to get the Air Force little plug here. Don, what do you do at this station here now?
Basically here, what we do here is put out the discs. The discs that come from the show, from the Discover Tinley show and the Chamber show. We put them out here, as you know, we put the names down there, who's on the show. Then we take this disc and then we print them over there by our printer. And these are basically the discs that go to the guests, they go to Comcast, and then we keep a master here for ourselves, and one goes to the village. And then one is a master that goes over there to be printed for, it has a master, so that's where we get it from there. That's basically what we would do over here.
Wow, so actually you make DVDs of all of our
Yes, I got
programs here.
every show we have a copy of the DVD, so if someone needs a copy of the show, we can make it.
Wow, how many copies do you usually make for a show?
It depends on the guests. Like if you have 3 guests for the chamber, we'll make 7 copies, okay? It'll be 3 for the guests and the other 4 go to the chamber, the chamber, to the village hall, to our MC, and who's the other one? 4. I can't remember who the 4th one.
Well, one goes there here.
Yeah, one stays here, the master.
Okay, wow. And you've been on the commission for how many years now?
I have no idea. It's at least 26 years. I have no idea.
And you've been at the station a lot too, aren't you?
At least
You come
8
here
or 9 years.
At least, yeah.
And I fill in at other places. When we have filming on Wednesday, I'll fill in the stations where nobody's here. I can fill in director I can fill in for filming or being a floor director, whatever it takes, I can do it.
You guys, jacks of all trades, I know.
Yeah, if I have to do some editing, I can have you actually do some editing.
Wow, okay, thanks a lot.
Whatever it takes.
All right, thanks a lot. All right, this is our view of the studio. The entire studio kind of looks like from the inside corner here as all our different positions, our areas. We have our little snack area here and our other machines. And we're going to finally end up at the final station here of editing, and our editor extraordinaire, Nick DeNova. We're going to go over to Nick now and see what he does in the editing portion of the final edit. Nick DeNova, our editor extraordinaire. Nick, tell us, what do you do at your station here, and what do you do for the whole program?
A little bit of everything. For the whole program, I help out where I'm needed, really. I can direct, I can be floor director, I run cameras sometimes, but mostly my forte is editing, and this editing station is actually where we edit Discover Tinley itself. We take the video from the cameras, which we recorded over in the studio section, and then we copy them off the cards, put them on the computer, and then we go through this whole process of importing them and syncing the multiple cameras together. Then we lay that out onto the timeline, and we can switch back between the cameras, so on the host and onto the host and the guest, depending on what camera angles we use when we're filming. Once we're done with that, we add special things like credits and little name titles which appear. We do the intro, and then once that's finished, we export it to a video file. Then we can take that file, put it on the discs like you saw earlier, and then we take those discs, once we've made them, we put them in the copiers. And that's where we make those 6, 7 or more discs which we need for the show. Once those are done, they get distributed. So it's kind of a long process to go from film all the way through editing and all the effects that go into that, maybe even color correcting if it was outside. And then ending up eventually on the discs and getting distributed to a final show.
And you do more than just pick out pictures. You can fine-tune color, shading, wording, names, everything that goes on that final thing. And sometimes we've done extra shows outside, so you can put things together and make it one complete show out of that.
Definitely. I'd say that my specialty here is kind of making a coherent show out of the raw footage that we get. So I can take, frames from cameras and slow them down, speed them up. I can do time lapses. You can do all sorts of things, really. Especially with this program, it's a pretty powerful editing system. You can take still pictures. You may have seen the Budigan show where we had all sorts of pictures of Budigan, Germany overlaid onto the show itself. And that's one of the few things that we can do. You can overlay moving pictures. Sometimes the audio will need work, especially if we're outside. We can take that, take quiet audio, boost it up, level the volumes, and do all sorts of manipulation digitally to it. And that's kind of my favorite part of the editing process.
And Nick is one of our high school students. You've been with us how long?
3 or 4 years now.
I think more than that. You've been a regular here. It's been like one of our stalwarts here. So, Nick DeNova, editor extraordinaire. Thanks for all the work you do here.
No problem.
That's our studio from the inside. So, hope you enjoyed seeing how we put this show together every month. Who's a very special guest because she kind of grew up in Tinley Park and has stayed in Tinley Park for many years working here. The principal of Tinley Park High School, Dr. Theresa Nolan. Thanks for coming to Discover Tinley.
Thank you for having me.
Growing up and staying in Tinley, that's pretty good.
It has been. So I always say that I've either lived, worked, or worked and lived in Tinley Park for over 40 years.
Oh, yes, you want to say that?
Yeah. Well, it's really over 45, but I'll keep it at 40.
No, say 40 sounds good. I think that's tremendous. I think it's tremendous that you've decided
wonderful.
to stay around and sticking around and helping the kids out in Tinley Park and actually go to the high school that you're now principal of. That's
correct.
You don't see that too often.
No, I'm one of the lucky ones, but I hope to inspire more to follow in my footsteps.
I know. Now, what's your educational background? What did you, when you were growing up, where did you go to school and through your experiences?
So I was lucky enough to have much walkability from my younger grades. So Fulton School and Central Middle School, the old Central Middle School back in the day. As you said, a graduate of Tinley Park High School. I got my undergraduate degree in English from Eastern Illinois University. Came back home, started my teaching career and continued on to get my master's degree at Lewis University. And then continued. And
you were teaching at Tinley, right?
I was. So, well, I taught 1 year at Lincoln Way, and then I had moved over to Tinley Park High School, where I've remained. And then I finished my doctorate degree at Loyola University in Chicago.
Wow, that's pretty heavy duty.
It was great.
It was great.
It was great.
Oh my goodness! And so you're working all that time. Then your background has been pretty good as far as education goes. What's it like being a principal at Tinley Park High School? What is that like?
Well,
give us a day-to-day type accounting.
Sure. I wish I had a list for you because it changes every day.
Okay.
But what I can tell you is I'm just so proud to be there. People in this community should be proud of Tinley Park High School and everything that it has to offer. So, I mean, day to day, obviously, we're out there, we're trying to direct, care about our kids, provide opportunities, opportunities that I was able to take advantage of when I walk the halls. And if we can direct some kids down those same paths and take advantage of everything that we have to offer, then I know we're doing our job.
Beautiful. I always ask, what makes Tinley Park High School exceptional? What kind of things really makes your school stand out?
So I have a great answer to that question because a comment was just made to me just this past Saturday. I had a woman who I hadn't met. I was wearing some Tinley Park gear, had come up and asked if I was the principal at the school, and I indicated yes. And she said, I hear so many things about the school, and what I hear most often is it's like a private school in a public setting. And she said because of the number of students and just everybody there seems like a family. And I couldn't sum it up any better than that.
Oh my goodness.
I think that's one of the most, one of the things I'm most proud of is the fact that we have about 1,100 students. We interact with our kids. We know our students. There's really nowhere for them to hide, which is a good thing and sometimes a bad thing in their minds.
Right.
But you know, it's a family atmosphere. We call ourselves a Titan family. We're very proud to be the Titan family. And that it's just it's an exceptional academic and activity athletic environment.
Wow. Yeah, tell about some of the activities you do have there. You have the whole gamut of sports, I'm sure.
Sure, we do.
And you got something new there, too, that And is it open yet, or is it coming
Great.
open?
Well, again, we do have all the sports, and we just started
Okay.
a new lacrosse team last year, so we're even
my.
adding to our list of sports. 36 different clubs and activities that kids can get involved with. But probably one of the biggest highlights is that we're spending approximately, on the Tinley Park campus alone, approximately $20 million construction project. It started with a turf football field last year. They're working on our field house right now, which will include 3 basketball courts, a fitness center, some classrooms, a training office, some storage, things of that nature, new entryways. Along with, following that will be some improvements made to our fine arts department, our cafeteria, our parking lot. It's really going to be amazing.
So if
it's
I go
great.
over there, I won't recognize the place.
I know, because you've walked the halls.
I used to work there
Yes.
many years ago. I worked there for a few years, and
No, it's going to be beautiful, and
wow.
just something that our community can be proud of. Is celebrate and actually come and check it out as soon as everything's done. The field house should be available to us June 1st.
Oh, this year then, huh? Okay. Wow, sounds good. What kind of accomplishments do your students do? I mean, your students, what do they do after they get out of Tinley Park High School usually?
Well, so our class of 2018, we had 264 graduates. Okay. Those 264 graduates actually earned $7.2 million in scholarships.
Oh my.
I mean, if you do the math, that's a lot of money per student. So I guess when I look at it holistically with our academic programs and our athletic programs, there's just so much opportunity for our kids to take advantage of during high school, and then even gain some financial opportunities to move ahead, whether they're playing sports, whether it's an academic scholarship, a military scholarship. We've had some Naval Academy students, Air Force Academy. I mean, it's pretty impressive. So that's one number that we're very proud of with our class of 2018, and we look forward to see what our class of 2019 brings as well. We did have 22 of our teachers. I have 79 full-time teachers. Okay. 22 teachers were nominated for the Golden Apple Teaching Excellence Award. 22 of 79.
That's a lot.
And those 22 staff members, along with their colleagues, have positioned our kids in the appropriate spot to access those scholarship opportunities. Okay. And I just found out yesterday that our band director is being inducted, into the Midwest Music Festival Hall of Fame.
Oh my goodness!
So there's a
you
couple
got quite
things.
a music player. He's really got that program on big time. It's been I love his jazz band. Whenever they come out and perform, they're excellent. So if you ever get a chance to see the Tinley Park High School Jazz Band,
they're amazing.
See it. They're wonderful.
They are.
How he gets that out of those kids, I don't know.
It doesn't seem like a group of high school students, does it?
But that's tremendous for his accomplishment over there, too.
So those are things that we're pretty proud of.
You should be. You should be. Very good. Now, you grew up in Tinley Park. What are some of your memories of good old Tinley Park when you grew up?
So my parents moved here when I was 2.
Okay.
And actually, I remember everything from riding my bike all over town to Cavit's Drugstore and Ben Franklin and up to Brementown Mall. My first job was at Ed and Joe's Pizza with Mike and Ellen Clark. I was bussing tables. Okay. Then I had the pleasure later on in my career to actually have their daughter as a student in my English class. Oktoberfest, Bulldogs games. My parents, our backyard went out into the Bulldog fields. My father was a Bulldog coach. My brothers played in that organization. Park District events. Okay. My sister and I played basketball, and we were always, competing through the Park District events. So it was great.
And you did some coaching too, did you?
I did. I was the head girls basketball coach for 10 years.
Oh my goodness, okay.
And played basketball in high school, and then had the opportunity to come back and be the coach. Okay. Just amazing opportunities.
Oh my. And some of those Tinley Park events, I remember Oktoberfest, you were here during those years.
Absolutely, on Hickory Street. Absolutely.
And now at Cavits, you just go there as you didn't work there, did you?
No, Cavits was, you would go there, and this is really dating myself, but with 50 cents in your pocket, and you could definitely get a payload of sweets when you're walking out the door.
And maybe for the people who don't know, where was Cavits at the time?
So Cavits Drugstore is now the American Cancer Society. It was right on the corner of that strip mall.
Okay, the 170 First and Oak Park Avenue, right? I remember that too, vaguely when I
Yep.
came here at Tinley Park. Oh my goodness. Yeah, those were good days back then, and
Very much so.
there were good days at Tinley Park way back then.
Definitely.
Oh wow. And with the kids there, teaching, what did you like that a lot to stay in it? What made you stay in Tinley Park? What made you stay with education and at Tinley Park High School all these years?
There's definitely a unique feel at Tinley Park High School. And those people who haven't come to us yet or have never experienced that have difficulty wrapping their head around it.
Yeah.
But once you're at Tinley Park High School, there's such a special quality about the element of care and the element that people are cheering you on to do well. And when I came back to teach there, I got to now step into the role of what my teachers provided for me. It's just a great, caring place. The enrollment's a perfect size, like I said, where we get to know so many people. So it's one of those things that I feel like it's a gift to come back and maybe provide some of those same opportunities that were given to me at the time.
Wow. Now, if anybody wants to go into teaching, what would you suggest they do? Would you recommend teaching as a career nowadays?
I would actually pray that they go into
Yes.
teaching
Okay.
because
I was hoping you'd say that.
well, because there is a bit of a shortage that's up and
Yeah.
coming, and we are
Okay.
looking for great teachers who are looking to make a difference in our students' lives, and who are willing to roll their sleeves up and be a part of our students' lives, not just in the classroom, but seeing them participate in sports and activities, or when I'm driving through a local drive-through, sometimes it's my student that's at the drive-through, and I think I panic them sometimes when I'm just ordering a cheeseburger or something.
Oops.
But
Yeah, I run into it once in a while too. I run into some of my former students in
Sure.
town here. Oops, okay. Yeah, my best behavior, all that stuff there.
I always ask them if
and
their
they're on
homework
their
is
best
done,
behavior
right.
too.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness. Any goals or aspirations for the school? Any future things we should look at? We got the big center coming up. Anything else with the school that's coming up, and for the school and for you?
Being an alumni, my associate principal, Randy Cowenhoven, and I graduated together in the same year.
Oh, he did too?
Yes.
Oh my.
And just knowing that we're both from Tinley Park High School, we just want to see it be the best that it can be. We're going to keep pushing the limits and pushing the boundaries and adding programs, providing supports for our kids. And really, we just want people to understand what a great community opportunity Tinley Park High School offers to everybody. To be proud, if I leave something behind, I want everyone to know that was the woman who was so proud to be at Tinley Park High School.
Wow. Beautiful, beautiful. So you're planning on staying there for a while then, huh?
Yeah,
You
it's in my
definitely want to
blood.
commit to that.
It's in my
I don't
blood.
want to put you on the spot.
No, you can put me on the spot. Happily put me on the spot.
Okay.
I would happily consider to finish my career at Tinley Park High
Oh
School.
my goodness. That sounds good. Sounds good. You like Tinley Park too, right?
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for coming to the show. It's tremendous. I've heard a lot of good things about Tinley Park High School. I wish I didn't have to leave when I left, but I've heard a lot of good things about it. So
Thank
you're
you.
doing something good there,
Thank
and
you.
things are happening that are nice. So if you get a chance, go to some activities at Tinley Park High School. They got a tremendous organization over there. So thanks for doing all you're doing over there,
Absolutely.
and good luck to you in the future. Wish
Thank
you all the
you.
best.
Thank
Dr.
you.
Theresa Nolan, principal of Tinley Park High School. Again, don't forget Discover Tinley, April 6th at the Convention Center. Thanks for watching Discover Tinley, and we'll see you next month.